Welcome back to The Full View. Let's do something different now and look at the entertainment world. How will we be entertained in 2023? And what have been some of the changes and some of the marks of 2022? We're joined by Tinashe Venge, entertainment journalist. Thank you for being with us, Tinashe. So 2022, I guess, was a recovery for the performing world, or is that going too far? Have we seen a return to normality at least?
Thank you very much for having me. I think recovery is definitely a great word to use. I don't believe we're entirely fully normal just yet, but this past year felt something close to that, right? It was the longest period, at least in my memory, that we've gone without restrictions ever since the pandemic kicked in. And that meant a lot of things for the entertainment industry. It meant that artists were able to record and release on schedule. It meant that events were back in somewhat full scale, everything from concerts to parties to picnics, etc. We saw a lot of activity, and I think it was a welcome year for a lot of entertainers, because 2020 and 2021 were plagued by those restrictions that were placed on the events industry as a result of lockdown, the various stages of lockdown. I remember artists protesting across the country, looking for some kind of leeway from the government to be able to at least get back to work. And in 2022, it felt a lot closer to what we remembered in the past for our industry, certainly. And we hope to see more of that in 2023.
And there were some bright spots. I mean, I often listen to South African music and I think it's global. And then I say, oh, it's a South African artist. We have wonderful artists. And we saw the likes of Uncle Waffles, Zakes Bantwini, some sort of hitting the global stage and making waves.
Absolutely. I think one thing that we've always been quite sure of, especially during this pandemic period, was the quality of our art, the quality of the work coming from our artists. And, artists like Uncle Waffles, I'm glad you mentioned her, were maybe some of the silver linings of that pandemic period. You know, she started DJing during that time in lockdown. She blew up during a time when it wasn't fully unrestricted just yet. And now she's an international superstar. I mean, just 24 hours ago, she was the only South African DJ on Apple Music's New Year's Eve playlist with DJs from around the world. So by all means, it was a great year on the international front for South African talents. Black Coffee won his first Grammy. Zakes Bantwini made headlines after being nominated for the upcoming Grammys, along with Walter Kellerman and Nomdebo Zikode. So it really was a great year for South Africa on the international scale, even outside of music. I mean, Thuso Mbedu has continued to make waves in Hollywood. She starred in The Woman King alongside Viola Davis, and I thought it said so much about her performance that a number of critics, both overseas and locally, felt as if she had been snubbed when the Golden Globes released their nominations and she wasn't among the nominees. But take nothing away from what's been a great year for her and a great year for South Africa on the international scale. Sure.
What about Trevor Noah, one of the best known South African entertainers, retiring, as it were, from the Daily Show? Just give us some of the, for people who haven't been following, some of the reasoning behind that and what we can expect from him in 2023.
Yeah, for sure. You can't mention South African celebrities going international without including Trevor Noah in that discussion. He's been at the pinnacle of the entertainment game for years, not just as a local celebrity, but in his own right as an international celebrity. And I think during his 6-7 years at the helm of the Daily Show, he achieved anything that an international A-lister would want to achieve. You know, he hosted the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Last year in 2022, he hosted the Grammys. He was on the cover of Times Magazine, GQ Magazine. So he had a phenomenal run. But towards the end of last year, in the final quarter, he announced that he will be bowing out of the Daily Show. He held his final show in November of 2022. And from there, it looks to be a bright future for Trevor Noah. He wants to continue on the comedy circuit. He wants to spend a little bit more time at home. And many people are anticipating to see the kinds of moves that he's going to make now that he's got a little bit more free time. He's already announced a tour in South Africa. He's already got a special up on Netflix after ending his run on the Daily Show. And it looks as if 2023 is going to be a year full of opportunities for him.
Yeah, and great that he will be spending more time here in South Africa. 2022, however, has often been lamented as a year in which we lost so many talented individuals. Just tell us what stood out for you, sort of those greats that passed.
Yeah, I think celebrity losses are always incredibly difficult to deal with, especially because of the nature of the unexpectedness of that kind of news. You know, I mean, I remember one morning waking up to see speculation about Ricky Rick after a very cryptic tweet that he had sent out, and many feared for the worst, and the worst turned out to be true. And before we knew it, in February of 2022, Ricky Rick was no more, quite tragically. But it was really great to see his legacy honored through his festival, Cotton Fest, and that was another benefit of what we were just talking about, festivals and concerts returning. Cotton Fest resumed in 2022 in March, and despite Ricky Rick's non-involvement as a result of his passing, it still went on. It went on to be hosted in Cape Town as well, and that just showed that despite the fact that we lose our favorites, we still continue their legacies, and we've seen that throughout the year. We lost some pretty big names, the likes of Deborah Fraser in the gospel industry, and perhaps more recently, Mandla Mapumulo, also known as Mampintsha, has been a very, very big loss, very unexpected loss for a lot of his fans. Mampintsha was a crucial part of Big Naz's come up. Big Naz are one of the biggest acts in South African music history, especially modern history. They've contributed so much to the culture that we know now. Mampintsha's involvement with Babes Wodumo in her career, despite its controversies, was, you know, it was unquestionable. And his loss on the 24th of December, just before Christmas, was extremely unexpected, as I was saying. So we experienced many, many, many losses, some that I haven't even named, from the likes of Cooley Roberts to, you know, a number of acts that were very, very dear to many of our hearts. Pearl Shongwe is another SABC alumni who sadly passed away a little bit earlier in the year as well. So it's never easy looking back and progressing to a new year and realizing that some of our favorite celebrities won't be able to move on with us. But I do count on their fans, I do count on their friends and their families to keep their legacies alive.
All right, finally, let's close with this. Looking at 2023, what are the not miss events for you, or platforms to look out for if you were giving us an entertainment calendar?
There is a lot to look forward to in 2023, I'm glad to say, and I hope it stays that way. I hope we don't see a return to lockdown restrictions, and that would obviously mean that the situation in South Africa is at least palatable for events to be held. I'm looking forward to seeing another return for Cotton Fest here in Johannesburg. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more jazz on the circuit as well. We saw Joy of Jazz return last year in 2022. Looking forward to a strong showing both from Joy of Jazz as well as the Cape Town Jazz Festival, which has not been held since the pandemic years as well. So many of the big shows are returning. There's also a lot of big international acts coming to South Africa as well. I think one of the biggest headliners will definitely be Kevin Hart, who's got a two-show tour taking place in February 2023. Tickets for that show are quite pricey, so I don't know if you're going to see me there, but I definitely would love to see some of the reactions from those who managed to attend. And then aside from that, I'm really just looking forward to seeing just a return to safe festival hosting and safe festival attending for the consumers, because I think festival organizers really tried their best last year. The likes of DSTV Delicious Festival, Friends of Amstel really tried their best to bring international headliners. But if you just look at the comments and if you look at the feedback, there were some hiccups and there were some difficulties. So maybe I can attribute that to a little bit of event organizing rust from the period that we were laid off and the period that we couldn't be hosting events. But I hope to see everything in full swing. I hope to see concert goers getting a full experience once again, seeing the best international talents coming back to South Africa, and of course Trevor Noah as well. I'd love to be in the front row when he finally returns to South Africa for his first show in a couple of years.
Yeah, maybe you'll get sent a ticket for Kevin Hart. Hopefully, somebody out there hears your plea. Tinashe Venge, entertainment journalist, thank you very much.